Okay, everybody, so welcome back. This is Ian from Mindful Marketplace, and in this really quick video, we're going to continue building out the Hubhood directory that we're building for a local community in South Florida. And this is the first community like this that I've built in quite some time. So I'm actually not even building this really, I'm just helping to advise. So I'm going to show you a couple really cool, or at least simple, content marketing strategies that are curation based. I'll do a separate video for each. This one is going to be a Twitter-based curation strategy. So what we're going to do, let me show you first the site. So you can see I've set up the site right now to have the blog as the home page. And again, this is just a staging on a staging site at this point. The main URL is not yet live. So essentially what I want to do here is create lots of hyper local content that is not necessarily listing related. Like I don't want to add a shit ton of listings and do all the heavy lifting that's required at this stage to build the appearance of authority on this site. Instead, I want to use content curation as a alternative to that. So let's look. You can see what I'm doing is just simply finding people on Twitter who are commenting and writing about this local community, and I'm going to share their tweets in a fun and creative way. And then I'm going to double back to those folks, and I've set up a new Twitter account that's going to be related to this particular community or this directory, and I'm going to start reaching out to those people, letting them know that we're featuring their posts on our community. So really quickly, let's go and I'll show you how that's done. So step one, I followed the city of Delray Beach. And what I'm going to do now is, this was 47 minutes ago. It's today's, like I said, the 23rd, so this is still, from a time standpoint, really relevant. All right, so this is celebrating something coming up in a week. So I'm going to really quickly grab this tweet with this cool browser extension. I'm actually paying for the premium version of this to do this particular project. We're going to show options. I'm going to make it look a little fancy. Let's say like this. I'm going to screenshot it. All right, now you have this sort of hyped up or embellished tweet that's going to look great, or at least maybe it won't look great, but it looks very unique with respect to a normal Twitter post. Let's go to, excuse me, let's go to a new post. I'm going to set the featured image. I'm just going to drag that here. I'm going to change the title. Change the alt text. I'm going to set the featured image. I'm going to go back now. Where is that? It's here. I'm going to set a drop cap so it looks a little fancier. I'm also going to add all that text here. I'm going to change a little bit of this. to save that as a draft. I'm going to go back really quickly here, and I'm also going to embed this tweet. I'm just giving you like a very rudimentary example of this. I would actually prefer to have more compelling content than this from the standpoint of local businesses, but this is something that's obviously honorable and memorable and coming up, so we'll just use this for the time being. We're going to embed that tweet here. This would usually not take this long, but I'm trying to show you all the steps. We're going to embed, we're going to publish, and now we're going to view the post. All right. So in those 5 minutes, now I have this really kind of great image that I could show that's actually highlighting this event. I could change all of this. I don't love necessarily this particular style, but that particular tool that I'm using to capture these tweets is offers me a ton of different style varieties that I can do, and it's just a great way of getting highly relevant, natural, organic traffic for very specific content, very specific sort of days of the year, holidays, or very specific. I mean, no one's really optimizing their local directory for this sort of content. So having lots of this, and again, if you go to the blog, I'm going to have lots and lots of these different, organic pieces of content that celebrate local events, local news, and all that sort of stuff. And then when I move on to the directory piece of this, where you're actually highlighting the actual directory listings themselves, you have a lot more just general content on your site that you can actually use that people recognize, right? They recognize, an event like this, the Memorial Day event downtown, they recognize this sort of thing, that sort of thing, and it's not all about just the listings. You're already starting to get a little bit of the appearance of authority simply by dint of curating content like the stuff I'm showing you on a local site. And you can do as much of this as you want. Like if I wanted to spend a couple days doing nothing but curating local content, I certainly could, and I'm certainly not limited to Twitter for that purpose. All right, so I'm going to do another couple videos in our community about 2 other strategies. One is creating a review newsletter, let me restate that, a review newsletter, review being the company that publishes the newsletters. It's a company that Twitter recently purchased, and the other thing that we're looking at doing is using a Circle community to actually really create a interactive ecosystem of conversation and community, and people can do all sorts of cool things using Circle or that sort of software that's builds like a real forum-like experience that can live next to your directory. So that's what we're looking at accomplishing. This should be live at some point in late June. And again, as I've mentioned before, I'm not looking at doing this to sell featured listings or to make recurring small fees every month from lots of local businesses, although that would be a benefit, it's a plus. My real goal is to use the directory to sell back-end online marketing services to the higher-end professionals in this community. It might even be out of the 5,000 businesses that are going to be available to us, it may be 10 or 20 or 30 that we really end up working with and selling high-end services like newsletter publishing, like content marketing, that course creation, that sort of stuff. That's my real sort of ulterior motive. And also, of course, building an asset, right? I mean, building a site like this has value even if it doesn't do well. Like if you just keep doing this over time, you're going to get traffic, and you're going to get traffic from people who are going to notice the site and who are going to be professionals who this kind of site would have value for. And even if you completely abandon a project like this, but you make it hyper local, and you put an hour or two every couple days into this sort of site, over time, it's just by happy accident going to have some value to some human in the world, whether or not you do things completely wonky or not, right? And that value could be, a $10,000 asset, transfer. You could turn it into an NFT and sell it. You could, manage a site for a local realtor. Let's say if the site's getting good traffic on real estate terms, and somebody wants to pay you a fee to, in quotes, own the site, manage the site for themselves for on a month-to-month basis. You could split commissions, with certain types of professionals where that's a legitimate professional consideration. Some professions don't allow that, but you can actually, go into business with a local professional who's doing high-end transactions and who's generating leads from your site. So there's tons and tons of ways to think about these sorts of sites that make them really worthwhile, even if things don't go as planned. Like even if it's really hard to get people to pay for feature listings, I don't care. It shouldn't be, but if it is, that shouldn't be the focus. Instead, selling high-end back-end services and using the appearance of authority and the ability that you have to give your clients priority of place on a high profile or at least recognizable local authority site, that alone gives you a competitive advantage when compared to your competition. All right, so something like discoverdelray.com is going to be an authority site whether I screw things up or not. And the same is true for you. So build these things, right? And if you're struggling actually to make progress in your business, this is a really low bar of entry. And again, I'm outsourcing most of this work. I'm doing this now for YouTube demonstration purposes, but ultimately I have somebody else who's going to be doing this for me on a hourly basis and with a percentage of the platform as a reward. Okie doke. Thank you so much, as always, for watching, for listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.